Hello my friends, I'm Rich Larson and I'm the IRC Tire Guy. Today we're on to a new bike and another bike review. Now, as you guys know, I loved the 2021 Beta 300 RR. You can check out my long-term review of that bike right here. Since Beta made some major changes to the 22 machine, I couldn't pass up the opportunity to compare these changes and let you guys know my thoughts on the differing bikes. Now, it should be said, this is my first time riding two bikes in a row of the same brand on this channel. That should be proof of how much I liked the Beta. To be honest, I was a bit nervous about the changes to the 22 machine. I enjoyed the previous year so much, it would be horrible if they took a step backwards. So let's get into what the changes are, then we'll talk how these changes have affected the performance characteristics. So when we say major changes, here's the list. The 22 Beta has an all-new engine, a completely different bore and stroke. That means a new piston, new crank, new power valve, and an all-new ECU. We also have an all-new clutch. Other changes include new valving on the shock and forks, a smaller diameter silencer, a new spark plug, and of course beautiful new graphics. You can see if you like the previous year as much as I did, this might make you a little bit nervous. So I have to start with what I was most excited about. If you follow the channel, I'm sure you're sick of hearing me talk about the importance of clutch control. Every drill, every technique, every trick, every ride, every second, technical riding is about clutch control. Well, the 22 Beta is upgraded with an all-new diaphragm clutch. The 21 had a very stiff pull. It was the traditional 6-spring clutch. The 22's clutch pull is so much softer. It may be one of the softest pulls on the market. Not only was this a huge benefit, but I can also tell this new clutch is now on par with KTM as far as reliability, which I've mentioned KTM branded machines have bulletproof clutches. After absolutely abusing the new Beta right off the bat, it shows no sign of dragging or slipping, so I'm extremely pumped about that. Top marks for the clutch. Another aspect of changes I was pumped about are the new revised valving on the suspension. Now, I ran the 21 suspension completely stock my entire ownership of the bike. In my opinion, it was solid, especially after I broke it in. I'd say for the average guy, the 21 was way too stiff, especially when you get into the slower stuff, the chop, the small loose rocks. It had this tendency to ride too high in the stroke. Of course, plushness is what you're looking for in those technical sections. Brand new, the 22 actually feels like my 21 did after the suspension broke in, much more plush. So after I put a little more time on the 22, it would be interesting to see where I go with the valving. That being said, currently it's much more suited for everyone, myself included. I still think the average rider will want to soften it up a little bit, so keep that in mind. Regardless, it was another change I was pumped on. Now, let's get into the change I was most nervous about, the engine. As I said, in all my reviews of the 21-300, I absolutely loved the way the bike ran. Never a hiccup or hesitation. So a complete engine rework is concerning and exciting at the same time. Starting with the biggest change, we have a new bore and stroke. This is an overbore 300 engine. The 21 had the traditional 72 by 72 millimeter bore and stroke. That's what you would find on most 300cc hard enduro bikes. The 22 Beta is equipped with an all-new 73 by 69.9 millimeter bore and stroke. This means new piston and crank. Beta said the goal was to increase the rideability of the machine, which from the outside seems like another one of those vague, made-up dirt bike words that doesn't really mean anything. But after actually putting time on this bike and feeling the difference in the engine from 21 to 22, I kind of see what they were going for. The 21 Beta was extremely peppy. It had so much pop out of the hole. I actually felt like it's an awesome enduro cross engine. It's fun to ride and can handle technical, but has that torque and snap that's great for something like out of the corner doubles. It's an awesome bike to ride if you like that lively engine. I loved it for the differing situations that I ride, from one-off obstacles to sandy turn track. Comparing that to 22, we still have that snappy or peppy characteristic, but it's just a little bit different. I'd call it more user-friendly. The power seems more linear. possibly more suited for hard enduro specific riding. I found the engine has a more tractable power, which is great for those slick situations where you have momentum. The new betas have a much larger area of tractability, quite possibly the best I've ever experienced. So when I say tractability, another made-up dirt bike word, I mean where it holds the lug and pulls me through those nasty situations. We're talking less of a light switch power. Holding traction is extremely important in hard enduro and came much easier on the newer 22. Now, this could be from the new bore and stroke, possibly from the ECU, or from everything together. Either way, it's better than the previous year. But with everything, there is a give and take. When I'm stuck or looking for that torquey snap off the bottom, the new engine is slightly more tame than the 21. There's been a few times where I felt like I needed to add a tooth to the rear sprocket to help the bike pull itself out of the hole. I'm tending to use the clutch a bit more than the previous year, which is fine now that the clutch pull is so much softer. To keep the bike in that power, that clutch control is necessary. Dialing my jetting was an important aspect of the power difference on the 22. Once I made a few changes, testing different needles and jets, I landed similar to the previous year. An ECW needle, second clip, 38 pilot, and a 162 main. The leaner needles I tested seemed to exacerbate that lack of out-of-the-hole torque. Once I went richer, it helped, but didn't completely solve the characteristic. Now, I'm betting a few small changes may bring back that lively feel. It could be as small as going to the previous year's silencer. The new silencer diameter is smaller on this year. That could make a difference. The 22s also have an X-Trainer's power valve spacer, which we've heard can really smooth the power. Possibly taking the spacer off, just like the 21, could make the difference. These are all things I'll test, although the important distinction I need to make here is preference will dictate whether or not you want to do that. As I said, this engine might be better at holding tractable power, which means it may be better for hard enduro rides and races. Something I feel like I've spoke about is I do a lot of one-off social media clip riding, which I really enjoy. I do it so much I actually have a specific feel I like my bikes to have for that style of riding. For racing, I change quite a few things. Those things make the bike less usable for those one-off clips. I almost need an Instagram bike and a race bike. Gearing, suspension, and engine characteristics all have their place for each differing style. The reason I'm saying this is I'm not saying these updates to the new beta are a step backwards by any means. I'm actually saying the opposite. It seems beta is making a bike that to me is growing the sport of hard enduro, which is all I want. I think it was a bold move to go away from the standard square bore 72 by 72 300cc hard enduro machine, trying to move the needle of progression forward. This is that outside of the box thinking that puts Beta on the map, in my book, as a brand that really cares about the progression of the sport. I can't wait to continue to put time on this Beta. They've quickly become one of my favorite brands, but rest assured, I plan to test others very, very soon. If you're enjoying the channel, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, as well as follow us on Instagram at IRC Moto and my personal Instagram page at RichLarson511. And until next time, keep shredding.